then Bitcoin would quickly be worth over that on its own. Some see Bitcoin as a store of value, while others view it more as an asset that could potentially define a new monetary standard, depending on how the price is currently standing. And whether we're talking about K, where you buy, you might regret it later. Yeah, don't worry, I'm doing fine. Yesterday was just Christmas, and I thought to myself, hey, you probably have other things on your mind than watching a video. That's why I'm giving you an update today. Maybe you're just lounging on the couch feeling stuffed and thinking, what should I do now? Yeah, maybe watch a video. And so I'm going to give you a forecast now that could put a sparkle in your eyes. Can we realistically break 160 comma quickly in January with Bitcoin? Yeah, I'll lay out all the facts for you, and of course we still have the drawing and found a few envelopes for that. So maybe we'll add a drawing at the end. So I would definitely stick around. In this sense, the coffee is already ready. We'll see each other after the intro. Let's quickly start with the heat map. What's going on around Christmas? Yeah, as predicted, not much at all. It's also kind of logical. So there's not much movement here right now, except for Toncoin, which just went up by about 3%. The rest is just kind of hanging around, plus or minus 1% somewhere. So nothing really surprising. But the rest is just kind of hanging around plus or minus 1% somewhere. So nothing too surprising. Even if you take a look at the monthly view, yeah, Bitcoin could still catch up a bit, so it's almost 2% in the plus. So we were talking about, well, moons, or what was it exactly called? I can't remember the exact term anymore. Yeah, there's still a bit more to go. Even if we take a quick look at the inflows of the BTC ETFs, well, to be honest, it's more like outflows, because if we take a look here, yesterday was the 24th. Also, there's also a peak in the negative values where BlackRock has really let loose. So yeah, 340 million, that's quite a lot. I, on the other hand, have seen the price crawl up anyway. So you can definitely feel the power of the retailers who are increasingly flooding into the market. Just a quick look at the heat map again. And by the way, if you're interested in getting this information earlier around the heat map, maybe some coin tips when they're current, or also about actions and bonuses that I negotiate with projects or exchanges, then feel free to check out the description. There's a second official uptrend group on Telegram called Uptrend Trading, where no one can write except for me, and there you'll find information. For example, around the heat map. And by the way, if you like this video so far, it would be super cool if you could leave a quick like and feel free to write a comment. What I've noticed is that many people who watch the videos aren't subscribed yet, so if you count yourself among them, you can go ahead and do that. That way the channel can grow accordingly. Here you can also see the picture going down towards Christmas, so not much is happening. Well, we have a bit more liquidity down here, but there are also about 97K down there. Yeah, okay, there's still a bit up here, so let's see what happened after 12 hours. Yeah, all in all, it's very split up, both up and down. Personally, I don't think much is going to happen right now. We'll see. Maybe there's still quite a bit of movement in there, but even if there is, pretty much right in the middle, talking about plus or minus 2K, where a bit more liquidity is sitting. If we quickly apply Fibonacci here, we'll notice that we've been kind of hovering around this value the whole time. So it's definitely going to get interesting if we say, okay, the bulls are going to take over from here, then we could reach that threshold and we'd be close to the K again. Yes, of course, if it continues downwards, then it would also be conceivable that we would end up somewhere around 97 or 100. 97.8 might come out. Like I said, I personally believe that not much will happen over the holidays. And now a quick note on these moon predictions. So that's one thing I've pulled out. In the end, it's just a chart analysis. And you always have to mention that external factors can come into play that can change things. So at least between 2014 and 2017, there was significantly less volume in the market, which obviously makes it much easier for a price to explode purely from a market cap perspective. But I don't want to say at this point that it's not possible. Well, a few years ago, no one would have thought that we would ever break the K mark. Now we have that, for example. We've also experienced it quite quickly twice in a row, and we were already at a peak of 108K, and now it's 160K, which isn't too far off. Here it's marked accordingly, and then we talk about the next stop where we are right now, for example, are that the K is in there. The time frame here is obviously flexible because by 2025, okay, a few more Bitcoins will definitely go through the blockchain, and we shouldn't overlook that at this point. That's the big question. We're now at the end of 2024, and the question is when in 2025? And then the big question is, if it should be 2025, I personally believe it has to happen sometime at the beginning of the year. Because after that, we tend to head back into a bear market, and a bear market is less likely to see any all-time highs being topped. But at this point, feel free to write in the comments what you think about this prediction of 160. I'm going to go through what could really be responsible for us seeing the K. Before we do that, just a quick note. I recently shared this on X. By the way, if you haven't followed me there yet, feel free to check the description. There's a link so you can catch up. Yeah, what can I say? The German Bundesbank is warning against investing in Bitcoin. This might not sit well with the FDP, who have prominently included Bitcoin in their election program. I'm also saying what Nagel said there. I find a bit flexible. Bitcoin is just a mathematical algorithm, and there is no central bank or an instance like a central bank behind it. Ah, okay, got it. So the central bank that is then also able to manipulate the whole thing, or what does he mean by that exactly? Anyway, I also recently shared a second article that is more on the contrary side. Here's the explanation behind how MicroStrategy plans to proceed if, for example, Bitcoin falls back to $1. Dear Michael's statement is, then we'll all just buy up Bitcoin. Then I think to myself, yes, okay, all right, I don't quite get it, because there is also outside capital involved. So if they were only doing it with their own capital, I would totally be on board. But how are they going to pay back the outside capital if Bitcoin really does fall below that? So, feel free to write in the comments what you think about this strategy from MicroStrategy. By the way, I made a complete video about that. Feel free to click in here. I've now included another indicator, namely Bitcoin rainbow chart. And if we take a little look back into the past, let's say, for example, 2017 when the threshold was there, or also 21, so the last bull run, if you look through here, the level was somewhere else. So we were in the orange, partly in the red, and at times we were completely over it. And just take a look at where we stand now, because that's the big question at this point. Yeah, so it's actually peripheral how the price is right now, and whether we're talking about K, where you buy, you might regret it later, just like Michael Saylor always says. Whether that's really how it should be, I have no idea. However, if you take a look at this rainbow chart, you really have to say that purely based on the chart, there's still a lot of room to the upside, where the price could potentially go. And at this point, one must not forget that there are basically two camps. So, some see Bitcoin as a store of value, and I'll get to that in a moment. The others see it much more as an asset that could possibly define the new monetary standard, where basically dollars and such are gone. Everything is abolished, there's no inflation behind it, or at least everything is controlled. Sure, more come onto the market, but you know exactly when these Bitcoins are created, and that's the big idea behind it. At least everything is controlled. Sure, more are coming onto the market, but you know exactly when these Bitcoins are created. And that's the big idea behind it. So, I personally don't believe that everyone will be paying with Bitcoin. Okay, El Salvador as an example, they've been buying Bitcoin for ages. Recently, I also came across negative reports, or will everything change? Nothing will change at all, but let's leave that for now. I could make a separate video about it. Definitely, in this case, the USA is also saying things like reserves in Bitcoin and so on. But for me, everything tends to lean more towards being a store of value. And for me, that's also an asset where I say I personally see it as a store of value, even though I don't hold a lot of Bitcoin myself, but that's a different matter. Definitely, if we just consider it as a store of value, and we say it's always this head-to-head race, gold versus Bitcoin, Purely from a market capitalization perspective, Bitcoin is actually worth more than, gold. Is gold 10 times larger than Bitcoin? Okay. And when we naturally calculate this market cap, which is something people like to do, well then Bitcoin alone could quickly reach a value of, please hold on and sit down, over $1. So with my 160K, I'm definitely keeping it manageable. But that brings me directly to the next question, where you can also feel free to write down below, do you think it's realistic that Bitcoin could actually surpass gold? Because I think, for example, I clearly stand by Bitcoin and say that gold is, in my view, inflationary, and sometimes it's only issued on paper. And in the end, yes, that's the crazy part. It's not even physically there. I personally find that totally wild, but as I said, that's just my opinion. Let's take a look. Now let's get to the drawing, and I have to say, in this video, you were really on fire. So almost 2K clicks, that was just a day. Go. The comments were good underneath. Let's draw the winner right away, and see who has won right now to find out the result. Let's see who has won. That makes more sense. And it says, okay, Jaunt. VNMV. Okay, I can't decipher the name, but that's fine. VX, okay, I think I also asked what that is. I think that's a cryptocurrency. Anyway, congratulations, you have won. How can you now claim your prize? Please send me a quick message on Telegram. Then I can give you all the further information. In any case, please create a BitMEX account. But before we get to the new giveaway, which you can win in tomorrow's video, and especially how you can win it, I have something brief for you. So for everyone who isn't interested, just skip ahead a bit. Let me show you the current evaluation of my grid bot from Pionex 2 100%, 116%. What's going on there? Yes, exactly. That's also important. Normally at 100%, I would have been liquidated, but additional funds were added, and that's also the reason why you shouldn't go into any positions with leverage. You can see it here, the 10x Alliance. They already have something going for them. But what it also has is the grid profit. And let me show you that briefly. Personally, I find that, so please don't fall off your chair and think, is Daniel crazy or what? I don't think that's a problem. I'm showing you this because I see a bot like this in the long term. That's the background. If we take a look at the bot here, it's actually working really well right now. He is indeed in the lower segment. He was briefly outside the bot's grid, then he stopped, automatically started again, and you can see all these grids going up. 2001 were all sold again. Because it has been swinging up and down so nicely here, it has of course been constantly buying, selling, and so on. So now we just have to wait and see how the market develops, but we are definitely in an uptrend here. I can also gladly make a separate video about Dodge and Pepe if you're interested, discussing whether it makes sense to invest in them. Feel free to write that in the comments. Definitely, if this thing keeps rising nicely, 2001, which I personally believe, then I'll be back in the green very quickly, and especially quite significantly in the green, because it will close all these positions. And that's what's interesting. It's definitely a passive cash flow that just runs along effortlessly. And if you're up for trying it out, there's currently no Pionex promotion running. That's all I'll say about that. Recently, you could still secure a $500 bonus, but now you can do it anytime, just like I'm doing it right now. This is my personal money that's running there, so it's not like it's a gift or anything. This is my capital with which I could either completely crash or make good profits. But I've also made a profit of 42% before. But as I said, if you're interested in using the whole thing, I made a separate video on how you can apply it. So check the description for the link where you can sign up. So by doing that, you're supporting our channel to some extent because we get a share of the fees that you would otherwise pay directly to Pionex. So from that perspective, nothing is taken away from you, but we get a piece of it. Our channel can grow, and in the best case, you also have a passive income opportunity. And now let's get straight to the new drawing. Let's take a look. Oh, there's a fat envelope. And by the way, this isn't the last envelope. I can tell you that much. Here you see him, but come on, we can extend Christmas a little bit too. So I'll take the blame for being allowed to do this. So let's take a look here, or it's coming together nicely. How can you win now? So first of all, please set up a BitMEX account. You also get a $25 trading bonus. I think the exchange is really great, super simple to use, and it has never been hacked. So your deposits have always been safe so far. From that perspective, I always find it a personally good and important sign. And here we have 225, which means you can win 225 tokens from BitMEX. And how can you win them? So just write a comment down here, set up an account, and that's it. In that sense, we'll see you in the next video. Until then, all the best. Bye.